what's up? This is Ray. Welcome back. Hey, we got a really great episode today of Artist in Residence. This is our second episode, and today we're going to be featuring a South African painter, an artist by the name of Philip Barlow. What's unique about his work, his paintings, is they look like out of focus photographs, and they look that way for a very good reason. A lot of times the beauty in a photograph is the out of focus area, and what he's doing is he's using that. He's using the color, the movement of the landscape, of people just moving about their daily life in a beautiful kind of way. And that's what caught my eye. There was a time when I was purposely shooting images out of focus to kind of see what I could do with it. And when I Googled what I was doing, I stumbled on his work, and it really intrigued me. It stuck with me. So when I reached out to him and asked him would he like to be featured on this series, he was kind enough to say yes, to take his time to do that. And I'm really curious about his experience doing this. His work has been featured in many different galleries and so forth. So let's learn about this together, about what he's doing and how he's accomplishing it. So yeah, let me introduce you to Philip Barlow. Mr. Philip, please tell us about your work, what inspired you to do it, and how'd you come up with the idea of out of focus paintings?
Hi, Eloy. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I appreciate your inviting me onto your show. Sure, that's going back quite a long way to when I used to paint flowers, as you can see from these examples. I used to paint flowers in sort of a hyper-realist fashion, and was amazed that you could take such a cheap flower. I mean, I used to just marvel at how wonderfully those flowers were designed, and how in God's design within the magnificence of them. And all of man's genius, he could never reproduce something as gorgeous as a flower. What inspired this process was I'd been painting murals and ceiling paintings, and been doing that for many years, and wanted to find my own direction, wanted to find my own expression. And so I did these flowers, and I'd go into, there's this beautiful garden, public garden in Cape Town in the city, and I'd walk around there taking photographs of these daisies and different flowers, but mainly daisies. And I was intrigued by the background. The background just looked really interesting, the sort of out of focus activity that took place there. And then I saw this article in a newspaper, and that same garden, there was this model doing a feature on some bikini she was wearing, and in the background, the out of focus background, there were these figures that were illuminated by light and beautifully abstracted. And that abstraction was just, there's something I find incredibly beautiful about it, because it's there and yet it's not there. It's determined. One can see that it is figures, and it's almost familiar to us, but not familiar to us. So yeah, that was the start of it, and it's been wonderful. I mean, I had my first exhibition in 2003, and I've slowly but surely been sort of through the process. I kind of wear two caps, as you're a photographer and you're interested in photography. So I'm fascinated with photography. I studied photography, and I studied art, and I actually studied printing and stained glass. So I wear two caps. So I'll go out and take photographs in streets and on beaches, and then I'll come back to the studio and I like to find certain things that take place within the image that excite me, and then those are the things that I love to paint.
One thing I want to ask you is, I dabble in painting a little bit. I'm not great at it, but one thing I know is it's the details, the edges, can be tricky sometimes to get to look accurate. But you're doing the opposite. You're painting without that detail, without that hard edge. So my question is, what is the trick to getting it to look natural, like a naturally out of focus photo, while using a paintbrush and not making it look like a painting? Is there a secret to it, or a technique, or is that something you developed on your own?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you all my secrets, Eloy, but no, this one I can gladly share. It's a brush, as you can see from this image. It's called a filbert. But as you can see, because of its rounded edge, that helps you grade the colors between themselves and helps create that soft edge. So if it was a flat top, you'd get a hard line. But because it's soft like that, you can mold the colors very successfully between each other.
Most artists like you will have a large body of work, but within that body of work, there's usually a painting or two that is very meaningful to you. Maybe it's something you did in the beginning of your career or something like that, but can you tell us about one of your paintings that has maybe a story behind it or something emotional to it that meant something to you when you were painting it?
Yeah, I find this a really challenging question, Aloy, because I don't really have one that sort of stands out. I mean, you can tell by the following images that there are some that I actually just, yeah, they resonate with me, and but there's not one that I have a particular emotional attachment to. I think it's a case of I try and find something when I go out to take the images that just appeals to me, and it's really about color to a great degree. It's the marriage of light and color and what those do in this abstract, semi-abstract realm. I find that sometimes there's just something that goes on in some of the paintings, and speaking about my art, I find is enormously challenging because it's a visual language. To describe, I mean, it's almost like describing the love that I have for my wife. I mean, I absolutely adore my wife, and she's an absolute gift to me. But I can't define what it is that I feel about her to any sense of accuracy. So the same thing happens with me when I paint. I'll find an image and there'll be something, it's almost like it has nuggets. It has nuggets of excitement that take place within the form and the color, and those are the things that emotionally get me. They really do. They just excite me enormously. And then it's the challenge of painting that then is the venture that I love. I love it. It's an enormously challenging but rewarding process where I'm taking a 600-year-old technique of oil painting and representing something that is taken from a little box with a lens on it. The camera is my vehicle to see this world, and by seeing it, I wouldn't otherwise see it. It's because of the nature of what happens within the out of focus realm. So yeah, I hope I've answered something there.
Hey, this is something important I want to ask you that a lot of young painters coming up doing unique things may want to know. Think about Pablo Picasso. When he started doing Cubism, people told him this is crazy. What are you doing? The Impressionist painters, people told them, this doesn't look like anything. They got a lot of negativity, and now their work is well regarded. So my question is, you're doing paintings that are out of focus. I don't see anyone doing that. Do you get people saying those same negative things to you, or is this modern world more accepting of alternative type of paintings like this?
I think you're right, Eloy. I think it is pretty accepting about. I mean, art these days is so diverse, and you know the days of impressionism where people looked at those paintings and thought, what on earth are you doing? I mean, now it's. I mean, you can walk into a gallery and find a brick in the middle of the floor, and you know it's all changed massively. So. From the perspective of people giving me negative feedback, there are a number of sort of sides to it, because to a great degree, I mean, it's incredible to be an artist now. I mean, I'm exposed to thousands and tens of thousands of people. So the internet, as well as, you know, social media, Instagram, Facebook, is a wonderful platform. They're amazing platforms to get feedback from people, and I often don't really get much negative feedback on them. There have been articles written out there on different platforms where people have commented, and I've looked a couple of times, and then I'm like, no, I can't do it anymore. I'd rather, you know, because you're always going to have the haters, you know. So I try not to look at too many comments on various platforms, and I find, so my Instagram page and Facebook page are generally people that love what I do, and they are very positive and bring lots of good feedback regarding my paintings that I do.
All right, Mr. Philip Barlow, really want to thank you for being on. And hey, we're not doing, us as spectators are not doing out of focus paintings, but there's a lot of things in your history and the things you've gone through and what you're doing now that we could learn from and maybe apply in our situations, that maybe we can help us get through certain adversities. So yeah, thanks for being on. If any of you have any questions for Mr. Barlow, of course, I'm going to put his social media links in below. Try to reach out to him there. Hopefully we can talk to you again sometime in the future. Let me know if you have anything going on that I can help with. I want to thank all of you for watching this second episode of Artists in Residence. And yeah, keep in mind, no matter what kind of art you're doing, whether it's photography, painting, poetry, dance, or anything like that, as always, until next time, keep it real.